Class is in session. The Brofessor is in. Welcome to class, y'all. Today we're going to be talking about the faction boss that is going to be happening in 2 hours and 2 days and 19 hours from right now. We've just been given this Brutus the Barber Beefcake faction boss midweek event. So I'm going to go over sort of what to expect, what characters are going to be good to use, and sort of how you should think about preparing yourself for this event. So first off, what we notice is that we have cross break gems doing 8,000% more damage, and black gems are going to do 1,000% more damage. So your first impression is get all the cross break gem guys out there that you possibly can, and while that will definitely be something you can do, you will need black gem damage to be your priority. And those that can produce both, and we'll go over that in a second, those are going to be the ones who are going to help you and probably have to carry you, just like they're going to carry me through this boss battle. So those who can make and break black gems are going to be key for this. The boss abilities, so he's going to modify gems. So he's going to deal a ton of damage, 4.3 million damage to all players, and turn all 49 gems into heal gems, and they will have a strength of 100 for the boss themselves. That is not really the big issue there, but I'll explain why that's important. The next is the shield. We've become used to this, so this is going to activate a shield for 2-player turns. It can be damaged only by breaking 110 black gems, and so 110 black gems is a lot of black gems. The last time we had a faction boss, it was significantly less to break, but it was only 1 turn and not 2 turns. This can be removed by boss breaker, so I'm hoping that neutralize will work on this. So hopefully you've been purchasing in the shop your boss breaker coins, and you can get your neutralize up or cracking the shield. And then the buff that's going to be an increased boss move damage by 25% for each heal gem on the board, up to 8 gems. This will also last for 2 turns. So what we just saw now makes more sense. All the gems, all 49, are going to turn into heal gems, and if there are any of those left on the board, boss's move damage is going to increase by 25% for up to 8 gems stacking. This can also be removed by a boss breaker, so boss breakers are going to be more important this time, it looks like, than before. And lastly, he's got a heal. So on all difficulties 9 and above, heals the boss by 50% of their max health, and because he is a showboat boss, he's going to have a lot of health. So this is going to be interesting to see how and where they scale his health from previous boss battles themselves. So there's all the boss abilities. So I'm going to go over the different boss breakers that you can use this time around. And for the focused group, there really isn't anything that's going to help with the, one is going to be partially okay. So how freezes over doesn't apply here. This boss isn't freezing anything. Raise the roof also isn't doing anything. There's no damage limiter, so that's also not going to work. So for this one, Regeneration X is the only one that's going to help you, and that's going to increase move point generation for other teammates. So that's the only thing, so other teammates can get their moves off faster. And that's really the only thing that's actually going to work for them. So equip it, but I'm not sure it's going to do that much help as it would in other boss battles. So for the aggressive style, they're all useful, but rage is the least useful. Because it really only just deals damage based on how much health you have. So that one is applicable to every boss battle, but it's never really that useful. What you're going to want to use is, if the neutralize doesn't work, then cracking the shield is what I would recommend, so you can get some move damage in as the shield is going on. But if that one, if the neutralize does work, then exhaust would help, because it's going to reduce the damage that the boss is going to do, and that one is critical, especially as this boss gets more powerful as there are more health gems on the board. So you're going to want to make sure that you can knock down his level of damage. So for the chaotic group, its time is not actually going to do much. It's going to extend your turn, which is useful, but not as useful as the other two. So it's the other two that I would focus on. The first would be Neutralize, if I were to pick one of the two there, because Neutralize will get rid of the boss's shield, or at least it should, unless Scopely has gone back again and made that not something that will affect the boss's shield. So if it doesn't affect the boss's shield, then Healer's Steel is also going to be effective for this one, which is going to reduce the healing that the boss is going to get after that second turn. So that's going to be critical if you can't get this boss completed and he gets the shield up and then he starts healing himself. So those are the two that I would focus on. Either Neutralize, especially if that gets rid of the shield, but if not, Healer's Steel. In the defensive style, I think the only one that should be used always is the Helping Hand, of which you are going to heal everybody else, especially if you get up to level 10, and that's going off every turn. Tuning up the band increases move damage, but move damage isn't really where you're going to be winning with this. Move damage really is just secondary to all the gem damage. And life in the fast lane, you can fill boss breaker meters of one of your teammates, which is useful, but not so much as everybody gets healed. So that's where I would go with the defensive. That being said, here's a list of guys that you can use, and I'm only going to list the ones that I think that you would probably have somewhere close to 6-star or could have taken to 6-star. And that will save me a little bit of time and you some time, but there's a lot that you can use in each one of these different groups. So on the screen, you're going to see the 4 that I think most common and or that you're going to need in order to beat this boss. And I'll pull them up right now with the magic of video editing. So here's a picture of all the guys that you can pretty much use, and they all sort of have something in common, right? So unlike other boss battles where we saw, Z-Dom has a move that buffs his green gems. So not only is he doing a whole bunch of green gem damage, which has 1,000 or 2,000%, but also now even extra percentages put on top of that. So you're going to want coaches that are going to be able to buff that number. But these guys also not only have black gem damage for the most part, or the cross break damage, but they also might have multiply gems or other things that you can then add on to there as well too. So there's very few cross break and black gem guys in the game. That's just a fact. So most of us are going to be using some sort of black gem damage character, so someone who creates a lot of black gems. And from this list you can see that a lot of them also have multiply gems as part of their setup as well too. So if you are among the majority, I would say, that is unlucky enough to not have Hall of Fame Warrior or Rocker Sean, then here are some options that I've picked out. There are, of course, more. Basically, anybody who makes black gems is going to be able to do some damage here, but it's the ability to buff those black gems even further. That's going to take them from being about 100 or 150,000 per black gem to 1 million per black gem, and that's when you start getting into a very useful area to help your team defeat on turn 1. So these are the guys that I've picked out so far. Some of them are a little bit rare, but you can see there's a free card in each category that you have that you might actually have up to or close to 6-star. That's going to help you in this boss battle. So Rocker Sean is going to be the bread and butter for this boss battle. And then you can see why. I don't have Rocker Sean, so I want to thank Durham MP from my faction, the Haven, that has given me a picture of how to run him. And this is why he's going to be so effective. He's going to make a whole bunch of multiplied gems that are going to be strength 7, and those multiplied gems that are strength 7 are then going to be turned into black gems. And because of that, because you're already getting the 1000% boost, and now you're going to make them times 7 on top of that, and then you're going to create more black gems. Plus, before you actually do that, you're also going to get bonus damage for every black gem on the board, and that's also going to be buffed up by 1000%. And so it's easy to see that if you can get through 2 cycles, it looks like it's going to probably do the 200 million or so plus that you're going to need in order to take out this boss turn 1. So Shawn Michaels is definitely one of the 2 that are going to be really, really effective for this boss battle. Let's look at the next one. And shout out to my buddy Liability for sending this along as well. I also don't have Ultimate Warrior Hall of Fame, but he's also going to be just as deadly, and it's for this reason over here. So he's got a bonus for every cross break gem, and so gonna choose 10 gems, make them all into black. And then you're going to make all the black gems into cross break gems, and then you're going to hit the bonus, and that bonus is going to be buffed 8,000%. And then you blow up the board, refill all the black and hopefully some red, and then you run from there. So you can see that Warrior along with Rocker Sean, those are going to be the 2 bread and butter ones, and hopefully you have a few guys in your faction that have these 2 that's going to help you hopefully win it within the first turn. But what if you don't have these 2 guys? Who else are you going to be able to run? So that's what we're going to look at next. One of the few guys in the game that you can actually use that has both create black gems and cross break gems is actually a freebie that we had, Our Truth, the K-Quick version. So we can play around with him a little bit. He does have 14 cross break gems that he makes randomly. He also makes random black gems in this black yellow setup, but he also has a green setup in which he creates black gems where you can choose the area, and you can also choose the area to make them into multiply strength 3. So you might consider actually going in the tricolor build where you choose to swap them into black gems. You can get the multiplied gems as well as the cross break gems all in one go, and so that might be an option. Or you just might run this one right here where you continually try to cycle it through and get as many cross break and black gems on the board as possible. But here's a free to play option for those of you that actually have worked up Our Truth to 5-star gold or something higher. Mine's only 4-star gold, as you can see, but this is again a free to play option along with a couple of others. So there are thankfully some free to play options that we can use beyond this. Last but not least, I would be remiss to do this without Andre the Giant. And Andre, since the drip plate has become a part of the game, has become himself rather unstoppable, as he should be, because he was unstoppable. But for this boss battle in itself, he is going to be also pretty awesome, considering that he has also the cross breaks. He's got black gems, and with a drip plate on him, creating multiply 7s, he's going to be amazing. Now, I think this goes to say that anyone that you can put a drip plate on to use for this boss battle is also going to be effective. Probably not to the level of some of the other guys that I've mentioned at the very top, being Rocker Sean and Hall of Fame Warrior and Andre the Giant, but anybody that you can get the drip plate on who's going to put multiply 7s on the board that you can then turn into black gems is going to be highly, highly effective as well. So without a lot of other boosts out there, being able to create multiply gems is going to be key, as I've mentioned before. That's all for now. I want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch this. Hopefully, it's giving you some ideas about how this boss battle is going to go, who's going to be effective, how you should run a couple of guys here or there. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you want me to preview any guys about how I would run them beyond sort of what I've shown here, put a message in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, if you liked this, then let me know. Put the like, give it a subscribe. Class is over. I'll see you next time.